have several things tonight, probably a little more than usual. So I'll try to go quickly. Good evening, everyone, and thanks for being here. I want to apologize for any inconvenience the change in this evening's schedule may have caused anybody due to the inclement weather. We felt it'd be better to cancel the groundbreaking for school number 8 today and have it rescheduled for October 27th, same time, 5 o'clock, 103rd Avenue in Durango. So thanks in advance for your understanding and support. As mentioned, board members rarely have birthdays on regular meeting nights, but this is one of those times. And I think it's happened once before since I've been here to Miss Reyes, who wanted absolutely no fuss made whatsoever. So we learned from that lesson not to ask Miss Sousnick in advance this time. And that's why we were able to get her some birthday cake and celebrate. It was also exactly a year ago this meeting I was sharing some sad news about Joya's family and the loss of her mother to cancer. And they're doing so much better now, and we're so happy for you. And I hope you appreciate our little special gift for your birthday. There were a variety of activities in remembrance of 9/11 throughout the district. The day started out with a moment of silence followed by students all over the United States singing the Star Spangled Banner. Students wrote letters thanking our local firemen and women for their service. And Army Staff Sergeant Monrez, I hope I said that right, led a pledge at one of the campuses, and students were presented with their awards by Phoenix and Goodyear firefighters and service personnel. At the Arizona School Board Association Law Conference last month, there were board members, education leaders, advocates in attendance to learn about current issues and challenges facing public education today. Don Peters, who's worked with the Littleton School District for years and is familiar to our board, received recognition for a career dedicated to school law. Don will be retiring this year, and we'll miss his thoughtful counsel. The report from the Center for the Future of Arizona, if you would pass these out, please, was unveiled last week, and that is the Vision 2025 report, and it updates the Arizona We Want issue with more up-to-date information about Arizonans and the well-being of our state. The event pretty soundly rebuked state leaders for failing to support public education, but they also characterized our K-12 system as a barrel of all but 3 bad apples, referring to 2 charter schools and 1 district high school, which all employ selective enrollment. According to the report, closing the achievement gap between students from different ethnic socioeconomic populations is one of Arizona's greatest challenges. It goes on to say that little progress has been made. Of all students 5 to 17 years old, 25% live in poverty. They are highly disadvantaged in our K-12 system. They start school less prepared. Often they don't have the level of parental advocacy needed, and the inequities in school funding put them at either further disadvantage. At this time, the state's history poverty predicts the level of education students will achieve. And that means, and all that means in terms of their lifelong learning and economic security. According to a new report that compiles recent research on school attendance, the nation's largest and most persistent education achievement gaps are rooted largely in a crisis of chronic absenteeism from school, especially among low-income and minority children. School districts tend to focus on truancy or skipping class, but the focus misses the big part of the problem, which is good daily attendance. Another recent report found that low-income students and their wealthier peers have unequal access to strong math content in their classrooms worldwide. Study finds scores from students who took the 2012 PISA assessment. Officials say differences in the curriculum contribute to the achievement gap, I would imagine, as well as teacher experience. Yet another recent report found that Arizona, as well as other states, have been shortchanging schools millions of dollars every year for special education services. According to an analysis done by the Kyrene School District, for every dollar given to schools for special education, districts spend $1.50, 150%. So the kids not getting the education they need and deserve are the regular education students whose funds are taken for those programs. New federal data indicates that the number of homeless children in public schools has doubled since the recession. reaching a record national total of 1.36 million students last year in fiscal 13-14. While many schools receive federal funds help meant to connect homeless students with support services, that funding hasn't kept pace with the increasing need. In the fiscal 2006, Department of Ed distributed $62 million for homeless youth programs. It had only increased to $65 million in 2014. That's hardly double. And Arizona consistently ranks in the bottom fifth of states. The analysis by the financial advice firm WalletHub notes that state and local governments here heavily rely on sales taxes. We all know that. As a greater proportion impact on those in the bottom of the pay scale, and Arizona has a lot of low-wage jobs, they pay more of their income in taxes on what they purchase than people who make more money. Conversely, tax linked to wealth, like income tax, has some of the lowest rates in the nation in Arizona as a result of cuts continued to be approved over several decades by our state leaders. The result, according to WalletHub, is Arizona ranks 41st out of 50 states in what it considers tax fairness. The report also puts Arizona amongst the states in the bottom 20% of earners the most overtaxed. Yet none of this is altering the promise of Governor Doug Ducey made during his campaign to submit legislation to reduce taxes every year with the goal of pushing income tax rates as close to zero as possible. Ducey made good on this year by signing legislation to index income tax brackets, a move that the legislative budget analysts say will reduce state revenues by $15 million next fiscal year, nearly $25 million a year after that, and increasing in successive years as it goes on. The stress of low funding support puts a strain on our staff. Nearly 30% of principals who lead challenging schools in this country quit every year, according to an article from the Hetcher Report. Due to the increased importance of standardized testing, teacher evaluations, principals are expected to do more and improve pedagogy and classroom learning more than ever before, but with dwindling resources. Fidel the Kaplan Journal survey shows that Americans have tough love for teachers. They support higher pay, but not tenure. The majority of people supporting teachers being paid more, nearly 66% of parents and 58% of the general public. So that's a lot of information about our state of our nation in Arizona. In the Littleton District, we continually strive to communicate with you about the important and timely events in our district. So I want to share some information about the district's upcoming renewal of the Maintenance and Override, or M&O, budget override election, November 3rd. In June, the board called for a renewal of the voter-approved override of the state's shrinking school district budget formula. Our Maintenance and Operation Fund is used to budget expenditures for the daily operation of the school district. That means salaries, benefits. It includes utilities, paper, pencil, pens, things like that. The districts operated with budget overrides beginning in 2003, and the voters have reauthorized them in 2007 and 2011. The renewal of the override would continue funding programs for our students at the current level of services. State funding cuts have reduced the budget by millions of dollars in the past decade. We were trying to add that up today for the meeting. We think over $9 million in capital funding. Since I came to work here, over $9 million in capital funding, $4 million in kindergarten funding. Inflation factor has to be another $3 million. Really, we're looking at nearly accumulated $20 million loss to the kids in our school district by legislative funding cuts. So the district's ability to keep those programs in place now really depends on override funding. Therefore, the board unanimously voted to ask voters to help continue to provide the quality of education and safe learning environment for our students that we have today. Not to make it any better, to keep it where it's at. The override renewal doesn't raise taxes. It provides class size at an effective level, some of the better class sizes in the West Valley. Teacher and staff salary levels designed to help us attract and retain staff as far as Arizona salaries go. Special area programs, our art, music, and PE are all paid out of the override. Our student support programs, our after-school programs, the athletics, the clubs, the band, other enrichment programs, including technology, are all paid for out of the override. According to state law, the district is prohibited from asking voters to vote in favor of that question. but it is allowed to inform voters about the question and remind everybody to vote Tuesday, November 3rd. Oh, yeah, and I guess, thank you, President Nielsen. The county has decided the whole district only needs one polling place, and that's at Collier Elementary. So I think the Political Action Committee might be getting a bus or something. But if you don't turn in your mail-in ballot in time, that's where you would have to go to vote or to drop it off. A district continues to work to raise math achievement. Our teachers in intermediate grades are learning the Math 2020 program. This professional development series provides teachers the opportunity to have an intense look at the standards and math practices in their grade levels. Once participants have completed the 6 sessions, they'll be able to implement math standards with appropriate level of rigor as well as current pedagogy. Collier held a math community night with over 200 students, parents, and guardians showing up to participate in an evening filled with math games and prizes. Their cafeteria had math stations manned by different grade levels with math puzzles, estimation stations, and tessellations. Hope you all know what those are. We want to extend our thanks to Avondale City Council Lorenzo Sierra, who attended to show his support for Littleton District and education programs. 3 teachers from Littleton were awarded an innovative project grants funded through the West Side Impact. Grant awardees are comprised of, 2 teachers from Estrella and 1 from Collier, so congratulations to those winners. Estrella Vista welcomed Palestinian visitors last week, I think it was last week or the week before, in collaboration with ASU's Center for the Advanced Studies in Global Education, and they were treated to a full tour of the school and visited several classrooms. After the observations, they were able to learn more about U.S. education system and discussions with the staff. The 2-hour visit was an amazing experience for our kids and our staff. We have a fun and competitive basketball season underway, and our team's behavior at the games has been great. Maintaining control of our fans has been an issue at a couple of events. Patrons should know that unruly or unsportsmanlike behavior won't be tolerated from anybody at any of our district activities. The girls' teams are playing at 4:30, the boys are playing at 5:30, and as of last week, I'm sure the standings might change today, I don't know. Girls' first place leader was Estrella Vista, 4-0, undefeated. And the boys' leader is, undefeated at 4-0, Collier Elementary. All right, pandering to the crowd. In closing, I'd like to express our appreciation to Melissa Manchester for school supplies at Collier, Donors Choose for funding the Desert Outdoor Center field trip at Quinton, California Community Foundation for program funds at Littleton, Wells Fargo for matching funds at Tres Rios, and Grads Photography for their donations to Tres Rios and Collier schools. And that's all I have to say.
That was a lot.